I have played in so many draft leagues in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, from high tier to low tier to Ubers to VGC to even almost any ability. But the one style of draft I haven't done in Scarlet and Violet is Little Cup. In fact, the last time I did a Little Cup draft league was 2018, so it's definitely been long overdue. That's why I decided to join the BBR Season 10. Now this draft league is definitely different than all the other ones I've done. Besides it being level 5 Little Cup, there's also an item clause. You can only use 2 of the same items on your team, so you cannot spam 6 Violites. Also, completely forget about terrestrialization this season because it's banned as a whole. Season 10 of the BBR had 2 divisions because there's not a lot of Little Cup mons. I'm in the Scarlet division with a bunch of familiar names you might know from the channel. We have OG Albina, Numb Nexus, Keegan, Kirby, Shuckle King, D-Ray, and Amel. Now my placement overall is 5th out of all the 8 coaches, which means a lot of the good mons are going to be gone early. Specifically, the Pokemon I wanted the most in this draft league in Stunky. I really just wanted to click Explosion with a level 5 mon, and Stunky is one of my favorite Pokemon of all time. But of course, his 5th pick, that was not going to happen. So when it did come to me, I had a decision to make of which ground type I wanted. There were 2 Pokemon I could have chosen from that were probably the best pick for my first. The first is Diglett, with Arena Trap obviously being able to stop my opponent from doing what they want to do. And my second option was Mudbray, which could set up Stealth Rock really reliably, hit incredibly hard with its massive attack stat, and still have a pretty good speed stat and run Choice Scarf. Considering my success with Mudsdale in draft, I decided to pick up the baby Mudbray. Mudbray is most likely going to come to 100% of my games, whether it's setting up Stealth Rock or tanking hits and going for strong close combats or heavy slams back. Considering the picks before were Pokemon like Scraggy, Timber, and Stunky, Mudbray matches up pretty well. And it's even better in this draft league with Mienfoo and Vullaby banned. In Little Cup, there are a few speed tiers that are very important. 17 is one of them since a lot of Pokemon hit 17, so you want to at least speed tie. I saw one Pokemon that's banned normally in Little Cup and is not banned here, and that's Alolan Vulpix. Vulpix provides Aurora Veil support for the team, gives me a strong Blizzard and Freeze Dry as well as Ice Shard priority, and can even baton pass for momentum to the rest of my members. It matches up really well with Mudbray because it deals with the grass types and water types that Mudbray doesn't like to deal with, while Mudbray can naturally take on most fighting type attacks aimed at Vulpix. For my third pick, I had a few options, but I wanted something that could resist fighting completely and also help me deal with water type attacks aimed at my team. While Vulpix does have a great offensive option in Freeze Dry, it still doesn't resist. But I did notice that Marini was on the board, and for 12 points, hell yeah, I'd pick it up. Marini is absolutely disgusting in Little Cup. It runs offensive sets, because Water and Poison are very tough to switch into, and the opposing Marini that do get smoked by Mudshot. Marini also provides Toxic Spike support for my team, though in these Little Cup fast games that might not even be necessary. My team was pretty weak to the move Earthquake, so I wanted a ground type immunity, and there was a few options I had for flying types, but Wattrel really stood out. Not only does it also have a great speed tier, but the combination of Hurricane and Volt Switch are really difficult to switch into. On top of that, Wattrel also has access to Weather Ball, which means I'd be giving it a strong ice type attacks when I pair it with my Alolan Vulpix. And synergy wise, both Marini and Mudbray take all the super effective hits aimed at it. Wattrel also provides me with a second electric immunity because of Volt Absorb. Plus, I don't know if you've ever played Little Cup on Pokemon Showdown, but the Wattrel PNG they use is big as hell and it looks hilarious. For my next pick, I actually got Sniped, which is expected in an 8-man draft, especially with limited options. You see, for my next pick, I wanted a Alolan Sandshrew, giving me a Slush Rush user, Rapid Spin for my team, a second Stealth Rocker, and also a great Fairy Resist. Because the plan was to pick up Sandshrew plus a fighting type, preferably one that could get my Pokemon in with U-turn. So it was probably going to be Sandshrew plus Mankey. But D-Ray ended up sniping Alolan Sandshrew, so I ended up getting Mankey. However, D-Ray was like, wait, this was a mistake. I want Mankey for my team. So I basically sniped him right back in the same round. And because you are allowed trades during the draft, I was able to get back my Alolan Sandshrew, giving me fantastic synergy with Alolan Vulpix, and also one of the best Little Cup Pokemon out there. But obviously, getting Sandshrew came at the cost of Mankey, which was another Pokemon I wanted for my team because it was a great Choice Scarf user that could U-turn out and bring in giant threats like Sandshrew, Wattrel, and even my Alolan Vulpix. So I had to look further for a fighting type, and there was still one really cool one available. Unfortunately, there was none that could really U-turn and get the job done like Mankey, but Crabrawler is pretty sick. It's another Pokemon with a 17 speed tier at level 5, which is really important. Hits incredibly hard with the combination of close combat plus a bunch of great coverage like knockoff and elemental punches. Said punch is being boosted further by Iron Fist, but could even ignore Intimidate with its Hypercutter ability, as well as bulk up to boost its defenses and become an even bigger threat. It wasn't the U-turn pivot that I originally wanted, but still, I'm excited to use it in-game on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, just because I think Crabrawler is such a cool Pokemon in general. Next up, I saw a Pokemon that I thought was an absolute steal at 10 points, and the fact that it was still available when it was my turn was crazy. Minccino is an absolute threat with Skill Link, doing massive damage with a combination of Tail Slap, Bullet Seed, and Triple Axle. It also has an incredible speed tier at 18 points, meaning I don't have to worry about speed tying with 17 like most of my team does. Minccino also has access to Tidy Up, getting rid of hazards, but also giving me the ability to sweep even further and can U-turn on out of there to bring in one of my other threats. It has an insane damage output when combined with Life Orb, and the fact that I have Mudbray makes it even better because I don't have to worry about my opponent switching in and getting stamina boosts. It's one of them Pokemon that as long as it lands its hits this season, it's gonna put in insane amounts of work. So at this point, I only have 11 points left for 2 Pokemon, and there's a few roles I want those 2 Pokemon to have. One, I want something that can still take on ground type attacks aimed at my team. While Mudbray can eat the hits and Wattrel is immune to ground type attacks, Wattrel isn't really the bulkiest Pokemon, and Mudbray is probably going to be forced to take on a bunch of other hits from my team. So it can be pretty easily overwhelmed. Basically, at this point, I knew I needed a grass type. And I saw one that I was really familiar with, though not in a single setting, and that's Poltergeist. You've seen what I can do with this Pokemon in VGC, but in singles it provides me with a nice ground resist, a pretty strong Pokemon that could even set up Trick Room and be an offensive sweeper with Scald or Giga Drain, but it also has Memento support for the rest of my team, and it's a nice spin blocker just in case I end up getting up Stealth Rock. Also, while it may seem weak in a level 50 setting, at level 5 at base 74 special attack, this Pokemon can hit kinda hard. For my last pick, I decided I wanted to get another entry hazard setter because Mudbray and Sandshrew are both kind of offensive Pokemon for my team, and I didn't want them to be forced to run Stealth Rock every single week. I also wanted to see if I can get another ground resist for the team, and that's where I saw Pineco. Pineco gives me a great spike setter, especially when combined with Sturdy. Gives me a secondary Rapid Spinner that can also get up Stealth Rock and Toxic Spike for my team if need be. And it also gives me an Explosion User, something I really wanted to do with one of my Little Cup Pokemon if possible, which can do massive damage but also block opposing Rapid Spin from my opponent. So that's my team for this season of the BBR. It's my first Little Cup Draft League in years, so I'm excited to see how it goes. Games will be uploaded every Sunday here on the channel, but I also encourage you to check out all the other coaches down below. And while I am in the Scarlet division, make sure you give the Violet division some love as well, as there are familiar names and fantastic coaches in this league, and I'm excited to see everybody's games. Hope you guys are excited for the return of draft for the LA Wakers, and let's see how we do this season.